I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, guys? Hey, y'all are looking good. Hold up. Hey, what's up, guys? So, you know the deal. This is Plot Against America, episode 4, part 4. As always, we're following our stay-at-home orders, and we're doing it in the house. And if you can't tell, we got some people with some really good setups back here. Some good-looking dudes, and then also just really, good backgrounds. I don't know. But if you are new to the program and you're just kind of catching up, let me introduce you to who you will be listening to today. First, I have Cody Epperson, who is still doing or has done Making the Cut, the after show. Actually, that's still on Amazon. It's a good show to check out, and he's a treat, so it's a pleasure for us to have him.
He's a Kit Kat.
And of course, we have Rick. And of course, we have Ricky, who just finished up the after show. I'm Not Okay With This. He's a hardcore veteran when it comes to this, and he's always given us some great insight for the show. So I'm excited to have you guys join me. And of course, I'm D'Angelo Friday. So this was called Part 4, as each of these episodes have their own specific and very literal name. But it makes sense just because it's a long series, and these are just like parts of one movie. So now that we're in part 4 of this show, we're pretty invested in these characters. A lot of things have happened. I know we talked about it the past 2 weeks about how this was kind of a slow burn with the characters. Have you guys find yourself like a little more invested now, or you still feel like it's a little bit of a drag?
Definitely invested. It seems like the character development is like, it's gone from that slow burn to being like, things are happening very quickly. Like we see their emotions and we see them interact with each other, and it's like, the fire is lit, like it's there.
I like it. I prefer slow burners because it weeds out all of the people who are just in it for the entertainment, and it keeps people really invested in actually the storyline and what's going on with the characters. It's like a show that I see this show potentially having 3-4 seasons. So it's like they're not going to like spit everything out so fast. Like if it was a limited series, then these things would be happening much quicker. However, you know, it's I love how graciously they're developing the story, and each character is starting to grow.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I know they've always billed it as a limited series, and I pretty much just thought it would be one season. But we'll see what they end up doing, and I don't know how far into the book they are. So, or if they make liberties at some point. So that's a really good point. But let's get into the meat of this episode, because a lot happened. And so what we were left off with last week was they sent Sandy out to the farms with the family in Kentucky, despite like some reservations there. So now we're back. He's done it. It appears to be a great experience, but he seems a little bit different in his perspective. There's a lot more tension with his parents. A lot happened, and you guys already saw that. Did you at any point feel sympathy for Sandy on his perspective and how he was kind of like handling everything?
That's an interesting question. I guess I honestly, I would say I did feel sympathy for him, but I didn't, I guess, realize I was feeling sympathetic, because like from last episode, I predicted that him going to this place wasn't to integrate Jewish children into America. I thought it was something else, something a little more dastardly. But I do see it there. Actually, that was one of my notes that I took, was that Sandy is acting weird. Like even when he goes to like the synagogue and like does a presentation about this camp, he's talking weird, and he is fighting with his parents. And I feel bad because I do think that he is for lack of a better word, a victim in this sort of weird transition that's happening in the country via this show.
I personally don't feel bad. I just think those are the growing pains of being a kid. You know, you think you know so much as a child, and your parents, of course, have to like step in and do what they feel is right until you're old enough and a little bit more experienced in life. However, I don't think that he's been acting weird. I think we've seen hints of him, even in the drawings from when he was drawing the president in the beginning of the show. You know, if you saw how he looked at the pictures that he drew of the president, it sort of felt like, you know, he wanted to like meet him, or he wants to be on his side. Like there was, I'm just not shocked to see that he was excited for the news from his aunt. And yeah, I think he's on par. I think he's right on track to who he is.
I mean, that's a good point, because he's a 15-year-old, right? So like at 15
Yeah.
year old, defiant, but like it's weird because like this could be to his life, detrimental consequences to it, you know. But it was interesting because you could argue that allowing him to go to the farm maybe enabled him to feel even more defiant. Do you feel like, and then so we saw that, and we saw like how now he said his father is like worse than Hitler. His mom like smacks him just out of anger, and like just, you know, he's being very defiant and disrespectful. Did you feel like, as for the parents, and I kind of always end up asking this, do you feel like they could have handled it in a different way to avoid this tension?
That's a tough one. As a non-parent, I don't know, because I feel like they feel very betrayed by the aunt. I think they want, like, they're obviously so against. Oof, my proper nouns are escaping me. They're obviously against the president, and they felt very blindsided by what she did, and then got his it got his hopes too high, and then when they denied it, that's what sparked that anger in him. Woof.
Your emotions you just choked up, man. And you're really
I know, it's so hard. But I don't know. I don't know if they necessarily handled it the right way. They could have not exploded, but I mean, there's one way they could have calmly spoken to him. But I think that especially his father, is so passionate in what he believes that I think it's very hard for that passion to like meet being a good parent in the same medium.
They could have for sure handled it completely different. However, this is, was it the 1940s, right? This is like way back in the day, and that's just, unfortunately, and during those times, that's how parents treated their kids, to show them we're the ones in charge. Don't disrespect your dad or your mom. And you know, I just feel like with how times were back then, it was acceptable. However, if we fast forward to now, that wouldn't be okay. I feel like now a lot of people have their own voice. And so I'm judging this according to the time that it was in. No, they did what every parent did.
What do you feel like they have done that they couldn't have done now? That's a very interesting point.
You know, I feel like kids, like, even if you're a kid, you should have your own voice, and you should have, because you're your own person. I feel like parents try to mold kids into being people that they want them to be, instead of being true to who they are. And if your kid wants to be a certain way, then let your kid be that certain way, as long as it's not harming anyone else or himself or like herself. We're all good.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's hard because it's like there's this balance of like, you don't want to be a dictator and oppress your kids' like opinion. And so like I think that's why part of why Herman like conceded to like allow him to go. But this is like, we're talking about Hitler, we're talking about Jewish people. It's like life or death. So sometimes it's like I think it got to that point where he's like, your life is in danger when you make decisions that are defiant to me. And that's why I'm like being stronger than this. He like, even when he was about to hit Phillip, when he was like the younger kid, after pulling him from the movie theater, I think he thought about it and he was like, this is serious. This is not a game. Like I thought that was just very poignant to like how he felt as a parent. And so yeah, no, I think my personal opinion to the question that I asked is that I think they have done the best they could in trying to balance that authoritative parent, like understanding, but like still disciplinary. and it's kind of like at this point where he's 15 years old, and you're always going to think your parents are wrong at that time. But at this point, it's like you just need to keep your butt in the house until we figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think that there's anything they necessarily did wrong.
They could have been more like, hear them out, ask them, why do you feel this way, instead of saying, no, you can't do this because I feel this way and you're not blah blah blah. Like, you can't do that to kids, because then it transforms as they get older. Then they become this like authority to everyone, like their mom and dad. Like a kid, how they are now is a lot of the ways of how they were raised.
100%. Yeah. No, you're right. There you go. That's a good point. That most of these conversations, I love how we always get into some type of parenting like thing, and I'm not a parent either, but most of the conversations they had was a talk at and not a, hey, what is your perspective? Because the fact of the matter is that it's pretty obvious that Sandy still thinks of Charles Lindbergh as a star, as a celebrity, someone he looks up to. And that's probably why it's hard for him to accept what his father is saying. But I don't even know if his father even knows that, because they haven't had those conversations. So very well said, Ricky.
There was a moment in this specific episode where Lindbergh is kind of like Trump. Like with the celebrity status and with just I forgot exactly what was said, but something was said to it that just reminded me of like a characteristic of Trump now. I don't know, and we could move on, but that was just a thought.
Well, I mean, and Cody has kind of touched on this a bunch, and I will move on. But
and then we'll talk more about it when we get there. But yeah, there's always
no, but he's Trump-esque, and that's the eerie part of this. I want to stay with Herman though. So we saw a lot of Herman, the father, in this episode. One of the things he did was, of course, drive up to Canada to visit Alvin, and I think he was very good at this. And his approach and conversation with Alvin, just super understanding considering how things ended. But he, in his drive back, saw all these Jewish people going to Canada, and they keep doing this little like solo camera shot where he's like looking like he's kind of thinking about it, but every time he verbalizes it, he's like, no, I'm staying here. Do you guys think at any point that he will actually concede and decide that that's what's best for his family, to go to Canada?
I don't think. I think he's set in his ways, and he's gonna maintain it.
Is that the right?
He has way too much. He has way too much pride. To be like,
exactly.
I'm not moving anywhere. No president's gonna make me leave where I was raised and where my house is and where I work. I'm not gonna upright. That's a typical Northeast person. and I speak from personal experience. I know people, I have family members. No, I don't give a shit who the hell is over here. I'm not going anywhere. That's just, honestly, that's just the way of life up in that part of the country.
That's very funny. Yeah. So that's what my question is. Is this like is he thinking about his family with that choice? Is like, because you can tell obviously that his wife is scared, and she's kind of doing it from a fear standpoint, but also looking out for her family. But I'm like, I can respect the stubbornness to an extent. As an East Coast guy, I'm stubborn as hell too. So, but I don't feel like it's considering his family, or maybe it is. I'm confused by that.
When you put it that way, it doesn't seem like he's considering his family at all. Like I think he clearly loves his family. Like, I'm always worried there's going to be like something with him and his wife, but they always like are so in love with each other. And I think the reason, I mean, he is very passionate about all the politics, but I think he's equally passionate about his kids, which is why he's so strict about it. But when you put it in that light, it doesn't seem like he is thinking of his family, but it's not in the correct way.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's not thinking about their safety. He's thinking about their, I guess,
identity,
rights. Their
I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I'd have been in Canada a long time ago.
I think he's doing it strictly for pride. I think that's why he's just not gonna allow someone that he doesn't specifically like make him uproot his whole life and move to a different country.
Yeah. So, and that kind of hints at maybe he doesn't understand the seriousness of what could be happening, or I think, not until later did people even know. And I don't know if that's the context of what's happening here, but not until later, until after Hitler was, taken care of, where people understood the severity of what was happening. So maybe,
For sure.
I don't know, but maybe there's an aspect of that, some naivete. But I spoke about him visiting Alvin. I wanted to touch on him before. Of course, guys, we have our news segment for you guys, and we have a specialty segment, and we'll be doing some special things in those two areas for you pretty soon. But I wanted to touch on Alvin. Who, now he's lost his leg, he lost his little boot thing. He's angry. Okay. And I think my question for you guys is, what is Alvin's purpose in this show? I'm starting to because as soon as he came back, right, he kind of goes back to his old ways, as a hustler. And it seems like nothing has changed, or like he hasn't learned anything. Like, do you think there's more there, or what's your thoughts towards Owlman as a character right now?
I feel like he wants so badly to be this hero and stand up for what he believes in, and it's not really working out. And don't get me wrong, the second we saw that his leg was gone, my heart sank for him. Maybe he was a dum-dum and got what he got, but I feel very bad for him. But I do think going for the online, if he was useless to this, they would have just killed him off. They were like, oh, what a sad moment. Their favorite cousin was killed in war. I think there's more we're going to see more from him. And I think he's going to be the unlikely hero in some sort of scenario.
I agree with that. Also, if you see his actions are from his emotions. He acts on his emotions, hence why he got his leg blown off, because he saw a Nazi lying dead on the floor. No reason for him to go over to the Nazi and put another 2 into him. But because that guy, it was a Nazi, he felt like that, the reason why I'm in this is to kill all the Nazis, right? So if he didn't go and shoot a dead Nazi, the grenade would have never hit him and he would still have his leg. So I feel like his emotions always get the best of him, maybe because that's from a lack of parenting and he doesn't really have some sort of structure. And also, I feel like he's he may have a significant part in this, but I feel like his character, what they do with a lot of shows, is they're just story movers. They help push the story and they help keep the story going. I feel like that's what he may be.
That's good. I love that. Oh, I love what both of you guys said. But yeah, he's so emotion driven, and yeah, it's difficult to watch it because it's like, wow, that's so stupid. And that's kind of the thing he does. Even, I don't know, it looked like he was betting money and his leg was on the line as one of the parts for the bet. Yeah, and I'm like, who does that? What? But yeah, maybe he's gonna do something really admirable or he's gonna die. I don't know. We'll see. But as I hinted, we do have a news segment for you guys, and Cody is my man and the lead person on that. So go ahead and take it away.
Sure. So this week I found an article from Esquire, and so it's TV is using alt history to examine a real rise in white supremacy in America, but is it helping? And they go into depth about shows like Watchmen, Hunters, and The Plot Against America, all imagined versions of the U.S., which violent racism is even more frightening and omnipresent. And in this article, they talk a lot about certain parts of Watchmen and Hunters, but I decided to focus on our show. And so it says, it's not coincidental that these series all arrived as America grapples with a renewed surge in white supremacism. Last fall, the FBI announced that the number of reported hate crimes had reached a 16-year high. Regions that voted strongly for Trump recorded more acts of hate than areas that did not. Even more exposure from the president's rhetoric has been shown to make survey respondents repress more racist beliefs. Far from uniting us against a shared inhumane enemy, the coronavirus pandemic has instead inspired a swath of anti-Asian attacks. It's hard to say what the effect from these shows, Watchmen, Hunters, and The Plot, have on our understanding of the nation's greatest sins. They identify turning points in American history. World War I and the Tulsa Massacre are examples. And imagine what could have happened if we'd chosen to go the wrong way. The Trump era, these series suggest, could be another turning point in which path will we choose. And so it's kind of what we were saying before, that this show is it's intentional, that they're kind of showing us things that, though it is imagined version of the United States, it's showing us like this is what could potentially happen, and we need to be aware of what these higher powers are doing and what they're saying, and or what they're not saying, what they're not doing. It's a crazy world, and that's what they're showing us. And they were talking about like Watchmen. There's like some really, this sort of touched on this before. It's like kind of hard to watch sometimes, but we have to watch it. But it's hard because it's not that these shows aren't good. It's that the content is just so striking, but it's real, and it's something that we need to be aware of.
That's so well said. I love that. Yeah, it's that idea that like what is happening in the White House or on a political sphere. I mean, it goes without saying that it has an impact, but it also enables a certain population, whether for good or for bad, to do what they have already been doing anyway. So it's something that like in a diverse country like this, something is always going to be empowered and is avoided, and then sometimes it's unavoidable anymore. And I feel like someone like Trump is like showing us that when it comes to white supremacy, even though we all know that has been a reality for a long time. But then also for Lindbergh in the show, he's doing that with anti-Semitism. So that's really well done. I love that. Speaking of, this is going to be one of my rougher segues, but speaking of misplaced and confused Jews, we have Evelyn and the Rabbi, who pretty much cemented their where they're going to be in what's happening. They went to the party, and despite experiencing like several examples of like overt racism, specifically from Gerald Ford, which I love that because he was like very Gerald Ford. Did I say that wrong? He was very much openly racist man. She dances with the Nazi Germany figure, and they have their whole thing. And I'm just like, they're so obviously pawns. Like we don't even need to discuss that. They're pawns in the scheme of whatever the Lindbergh administration is trying to do. But my question for you guys is, what will happen to them, do you think, as things develop? Like, do you have, I know this is kind of like a jump on predictions, but what do you think they're going to end up by the end of this series?
I mean, it seems like if they don't open their eyes, they're going to be used. They like you said, they're going to be pawns in this Lindbergh game, and then eventually, once they're not useful anymore, I think they're just going to be disposed of unless they wake up, open their eyes, and see what's going on literally right in front of them.
Yeah.
Honestly, nothing good. I don't think anything good is going to happen out of this. I mean, the fact that the rabbi said hi to the president, he completely ignored him, then said hi to the vice president. It was like he wasn't even there. Like he just walked right by him as if he was not even there. And then he said hi to the vice president. The vice president carried a conversation on for about a minute, and then got distracted, and then he was off, and then they were standing them two just alone. I feel as if they have been warned. However, they are allowing the presidency and the stature of the presidency and all the glitz and the glam that comes with that life to overcast a cloud that is not allowing them to see the true side of this.
Well said. I don't, because it's like you're looking at this and you're like, what are you seeing to make you think that what you're doing is correct? And it's very obvious that they're seeing the success and the position and the status that they have access to, ignoring, because there are a lot of people like that. But in this case, you're ignoring racism and I mean, countless other things. And it's crazy. It's scary because like it's realistic. Some people are willing to sacrifice that when it comes to success. But yeah, they are. I think they're a representation of some very interesting things. But I love the little line in there where the rabbi spoke. He talked about his love for the Confederate figure, like the guy who was on the wrong side of history.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, that's a thesis statement on like who this guy is and like where he stands. And a great job by the writers. I don't have a question based on it. I just wanted to highlight it. Yeah. So
and didn't the rabbi said that him or his family partaked in the Confederate War or something like
I believe
that?
he either said that one of his ancestors did, or just that was a figure that he connected with. I can't remember which one, but either way, it's like, what?
It's mind blowing. Like if a
Yeah.
girl that I was dating said that my family dated someone in the Confederate fucking world, I'd be like, okay, see you later, goodbye, because you're a racist.
Yeah.
I don't care. It could be Kendall Jenner for all that matters. I'd be like, see you later, goodbye.
Yeah. I'm with you, bro. Yeah. So before we kind of close out, I just wanted to I need to do my special segment. So the special segment is we like to give little facts about Charles Lindbergh and kind of connect his story to some of the things they're doing, because again, this is an alt history show, but they're pulling on very real things. And I thought I wanted to see what relationship Charles Lindbergh and Hitler had. And what I found was, in the peak of his fame, he was urging Congress to negotiate with Hitler, just in the middle of the war and like all those type of things. And it just kind of like, it's scary. Like this show is just a reminder to like, yeah, America may have handled that right in real life, but like we weren't too far away from divvying out to the left or to the right, and being on the wrong side of history. So, yeah.
So, okay. So just quickly to touch on that, hence why I said that him and Trump have like very similar traits, is because that's something Trump would do, hence what he did to Byung-Hun Kim, right? Where he went there and he's like meeting with them and stuff like that. Now, I don't know what his motive is. However, these quote unquote dangerous people in the world, if you could I know that what they're doing is not okay, but I could kind of see the tactic here. I could see that they want to get them on their side. Hopefully their approach is to protect the nation and not have these crazy wild cannon people against us. So I don't know. But if that was the case, then honestly, from a strategic standpoint, yes, I don't believe in what they're doing and it's disrespectful and it's disgusting. However, I'm the president and I have to do whatever I can to protect our people and potentially having these people go crazy on the whole world, if that makes sense.
I get you. Well, I think, and this is something we obviously know, to think that you'd be separate from what's happening in the rest of the world as a power is extremely irresponsible in itself. Like, granted, Europe is like very far from America, and it was like a European war at the time, but like America was very much a part of it, and to separate themselves from it seemed more cowardly than not from a historical standpoint. Like that's how I feel watching this show. Yeah, but I want to get to predictions real quick, but I wanted to make sure that you guys didn't have anything else you wanted to share in regards to this episode.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
I wanted just to add one quick thing is I feel like, why am I blanking? The rabbi's aunt and
Evelyn?
the girlfriend.
You talking about that? Yeah,
yes.
Evelyn.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that she's noticing what's going on. Once she started dancing with the head Nazi guy, I feel like something just clicked, and that's gonna lead me into my predictions.
Okay, I feel like you should do your prediction unless Cody had something to add.
No, I would like to hear I would like to hear this.
Do it, Ricky.
So my prediction for the next episode is I feel like she is going to realize what is going on and she's going to break it off with the rabbi.
Okay.
Maybe.
Huh?
Actually, maybe, I mean, I watched the previews, so it's possible.
I don't watch previews.
Like,
I never watch previews.
I don't watch previews either. I don't watch previews. That's cheating, Cody, but keep going.
It's not cheating. They show it to you at the end of the episode.
I know.
But I actually, even though I kind of disagree with that, I could actually see it being a potential like last minute thing where she's like, yo, no. But so I have a prediction. It's kind of random, but maybe not certain because I watched the previews. But what was a really interesting fact in the episode? You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. When
run for president.
His little when his little friend like has to move away, his little thick friend from with the he's like leaving when he gives him all the stamps, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And his father goes in the house and gives the mom his address. Like, oh yeah, write me. Like, I just gave him our address. I thought that was so random. I was like, that's it. He just showed up to give him his address. Like, what's that about? I think the two boys being corresponding via mail is going to come in very handy in the future. I don't know how, but I think there was a reason that they just brought him in for 4 lines in the middle of this episode to hand off an address to where he can move to.
That's a good point. Wow, yeah, that did feel random, and these writers are very purposeful, so we know that's good. I think that it is going to be something. Speaking of something that we didn't touch on, I think we'll be able to touch on it probably more next episode, was the FBI agent.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go on a limb here and say that Alvin's death is going to become, Alvin's going to die, and it's going to be because of this. That's it.
What?
Yeah,
I know it's a big.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, very plausible.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us for our review of part 4 of Plot Against America. This was a fire episode. We'll probably end up talking about parenting stuff again next week. So if you guys want any lessons,
I'm sure. I was looking forward to Kitty's perspective on Sandy getting smacked in the face. But please continue.
I think he froze.
I think he froze.
Hey,
and we're back.
Oh, I'm back. I heard you though. I heard what you said. You said Kitty.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I know. I can't wait. Kitty, we miss you. Come back next week. But anyway, let me let you guys let them know where they can find you on social media. Cody, you mind starting us off with that?
Yes, I'm on Instagram as Cody Epp, CODYYEPP, and Twitter as Cody_Epp.
And you can find me at Ricky Vitucci on all social media platforms.
And I'm D'Angelo Friday. You can hit me up on Instagram at D'Angelo or on Twitter at D'Angelo TV. We will see you guys next week. Again, same time, 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Feel free to check in on us. And if you have any questions, hit us up on social media. Otherwise, guys, Vitucci.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.